The man sitting intently in front of the sewing machine is the prison camp boss named Woong Chol. Woong Chol is wearing a pink handkerchief to sew a handkerchief. His crime is intentional injury. He has a 28-year prison sentence. While Woong Chol was sewing, someone suddenly shouted loudly, startling him. It turned out to be the new prisoner Yu Sung. Before going to prison, he was a policeman, so all the prisoners hated him to the core. Surprisingly, Yu Sung's fighting ability was extremely strong. Even though he was beaten up by other prisoners, he was still not weak. Woong Chol was interrupted in his joy, so he immediately walked away, muttering curses towards the factory. The other prisoners saw this and skillfully avoided each other. In this way, Yu Sung was rescued, but when Yu Sung stood up, he not only did not thank Woong Chol, but on the contrary, he blamed him for meddling in other people's business. He immediately threw a punch. Being provoked, Woong Chol didn't bother to say much, but used one hand to pin his opponent Gutaki against the wall. He only used a little force, and Yu Sung, who had been aggressive just now, fainted. Then Woong Chol immediately threw Yu Sung to the ground. But suddenly, Woong Chol remembered the pair of pink gloves he loved so much on his hands. The reason Woong Chol treasured these gloves so much was because they were a gift his close brother gave him before he went to prison. Every time he saw these gloves, it felt like his brother was still by his side. Woong Chol had no idea that his close brother had died. Not long after, the warden arrived at the scene to disperse everyone. Then the warden called Woong Chol aside. After receiving the newspaper, Woong Chol learned that his close brother had passed away, and the murderer seemed to be a mafia organization. The method was extremely cruel. The body even floated in the sea for 8 days before being discovered by the police. When Woong Chol heard the news, he angrily slammed his hand on the table. When the warden saw this, he took care of Woong Chol and gave him 2 days off to visit his junior, because he understood that Woong Chol's nature was not bad. Previously, because he had taken the blame for his close brother, Woong Chol had taken all the responsibility upon himself, so he went to prison. When Woong Chol went outside, he went to his close brother's portrait. After putting away the pink gloves, Woong Chol secretly vowed that he would definitely find the murderer to avenge his comrade. Immediately after that, Woong Chol went to Gu Taku, who had built his career with him. Gu Taku used to be a policeman, but now he had cancer, so he no longer had the strength. Luckily, he provided a clue. Gu Tak told Woong Chol to find Mi Young, his old comrade. She has recently been investigating an organization called the Central Faction Organization. Woong Chol suspected that Woong Chol's close brother might have been murdered by this organization, so as soon as he got out of prison, he immediately called Mi Young. When she heard the phone call, she thought he had escaped from prison, but he said he had 2 days off. The two talked for a while and then arranged to meet later. At that time, Mi Young was escorting prisoners, but the car ran out of gas on the way. Strangely, they had checked everything before leaving. But why did this happen? Because of the long distance, they couldn't escort car and had to leave the highway and go to a nearby gas station. During the short break, Mi Young saw a beautiful female prisoner being led out, and this female prisoner, named Kwak No Soon, was not ordinary. She was a major fraudster on the wanted list. The police spent a lot of effort to catch her. When Kwak No Soon passed by a nearby bus, her long, slender legs and sexy body curves immediately made the entire prison bus stare. Kwak No Soon didn't even bother to look, just raised a finger in a gesture of contempt. But the male prisoners saw this and became even more agitated. They just wanted to take her home immediately. Then Kwak No Soon was put on the transport vehicle. After filling up with gas, the convoy continued on the highway. However, before they could go a few kilometers, a heavy truck that had been waiting suddenly crashed straight into the police team, knocked the first police car over, and immediately crashed into the second one. But its real target was the bus carrying the male prisoners. The bus couldn't avoid it in time and was overturned. The accident caused countless prisoners to faint, but many prisoners who were awake immediately tried to escape. At the same time, Kwak No Soon quickly took advantage of the opportunity to unlock the handcuffs. Then a group of masked thugs got out of the dump truck. They headed straight for the bus. The main target was the prisoner Tan Bol. Just as the thugs were gradually approaching Tan Bol, Yu Sung, who had just woken up, immediately attacked and knocked him down. Even though he was a prisoner, he had a very upright heart. It turned out that before entering prison, when Yu Sung was still a police officer on duty, the prisoner suddenly died of a heart attack. That was why Yu Sung was convicted of manslaughter and unjustly imprisoned. It was clear that the robbers had prepared carefully. Yu Sung was determined not to let them get their way. Seeing this, Tang Byul immediately took the opportunity to prepare to escape. When the robbers got out of the car to chase after him, he had disappeared without a trace. On this side, Yu Sung immediately pulled out his police radio and hoped that the police would soon send reinforcements. When the robbers discovered them, they immediately rushed forward with weapons. Luckily, Mi-young woke up in time to stop them. Unfortunately, she was still stabbed by the robber. After regaining consciousness, Yu-sung kicked the robber away. The robber refused to let go. He continued to pick up the weapon and tried to stab him. Luckily, Yu-sung avoided them all. He even wrote the robber's name on the car. Just when Yu-sung was about to pull off the robber's mask, he only saw the tattoo on the robber's neck. Immediately after that, the robber escaped. Yu-sung staggered to get up and was about to chase after them when he was hit by a car and thrown far away. When the injured and unconscious people woke up, they found themselves in the hospital. At the same time, Wung Chol and Gu Tak came to visit Mi-young. Seeing the people around them in danger one by one made Wung Chol extremely angry. Now the only person left alive had cancer. Although it was unclear who the real culprit was, it was certain that he could not escape being involved with the gang. If Wung Chol did not take revenge, he would not be a man. So Wung Chol decided to take revenge in his own way. He rushed into the gang's territory alone. The gangsters in the room had no chance of fighting back. With just a few punches from Wung Chol, they were defeated. Even though there were many opponents, Wung Chol was not weak at all. In the blink of an eye, everyone was lying on the ground. Then, Wung Chol pressed the leader's head down on the table and asked for the boss's location. The other party said that their boss was Tang Buell, but he was already in prison. But Wung Chol did not know that Tang Buell had escaped. At this time, Gu Tak brought the documents Mi-young provided and questioned the police chief about the prisoner transfer. The police chief explained that among the prisoners, there was a man named Tang Buell. He was the gang boss. After being arrested, he was thrown into prison. Strangely, a month ago, he had sought help from Mi-young, and he claimed that he was not the boss and that someone wanted to kill him. If the police guaranteed his safety, he was willing to reveal all the crimes of the gang that he knew. The real person behind the gang was using huge amounts of money to bribe politicians. At the same time, he was secretly running illegal businesses. The truth was exactly as he said. Even in prison, he was assassinated. The police were forced to transfer him to another place, but it is unclear who leaked the information that led to this prison break. In order to quickly recapture the escapees, the police chief asked Gu Tak to return. They formed a special crime investigation team that gathered prisoners who had committed crimes and used their abilities to investigate case. On this side, Yu-sung was in the hospital room. A moment later, Gu Tak entered. As a former police officer who had been wrongly accused, Yu-sung became the #1 candidate to join the investigation team. Gu Tak promised that if Yu-sung joined the investigation team to solve the case, he could have his sentence reduced by 5 years and his position reinstated. The second candidate was Wung Chol. Wung Chol did not care about the reduction of his sentence. His only goal was to avenge his close brother. Then the three of them began to discuss the plan. This time, there were a total of 4 prisoners who had escaped. The first was a serial killer wearing glasses. In 2 years, he had killed 18 people in a row. The victims were all helpless people, old people, and women. The second was a man who specialized in evil. This man was very skilled in martial arts, so even when surrounded by dozens of police, he could still escape easily. Therefore, they needed to be especially careful. The third was Tang Buell, who was also the main target of prison breakers. The last was the swindler Kwak No-soon. As soon as Wung Chol saw Kwak No-soon's photo, he immediately said he knew this woman. She was the girlfriend of a playboy in the industry. After the three of them finished preparing, they decided to capture Kwak No-soon first. They decided to set up an ambush at a nearby restaurant. Sure enough, the gangsters were at a restaurant demanding protection money. The restaurant owner only asked them to delay for a few days, but he immediately told his accomplices to chase away the customers. When almost all the customers left, the gangster found a person in the corner who refused to leave. He immediately decided to teach this person a lesson. As a result, that person turned around. It turned out to be Wung Chol. The gangster saw that it was his old boss and immediately panicked and took a few steps back. Wung Chol mocked that "You've gotten better lately. It seems like you've done a lot of bad things." The gangster standing behind heard that and immediately wanted to teach Wung Chol a lesson. The other guy panicked and pulled him back, telling his accomplices to run away. Wung Chol called him back. The gangster who was arrogant just now was now pressed down on the table by Wung Chol with one hand. Wung Chol said that they should pay for the food for the customers who had just been chased away. After that, they should clean up place. Immediately after that, Wung Chol called Young Chun over, but Young Chun ran away like a lost soul. Young Chun ran into a warehouse and didn't forget to lock several doors. But Young Chun was still not at ease, so he hid in the innermost warehouse and locked it with several more layers. He stood there, not daring to breathe heavily. As a result, the next second he panicked and apologized to Wung Chol repeatedly. Even when Young Chun tried to make a surprise attack, he was knocked down by Wung Chol with one punch. The next day, they asked Young Chun to drag Kwak No-soon out. The two hugged tightly when they met, but Kwak No-soon quickly discovered discovered something was wrong. She suddenly saw Wung Chol and a few others walking out. Kwak No Soon panicked, took out a knife, and held Young Chun hostage. But Wung Chol completely ignored her and stepped forward aggressively. Realizing that the situation was not good, Kwak No Soon had no choice but to run away. One slip and passed through layers of obstacles. She thought she had escaped in an instant, but when she reached the door, Yu Sung blocked her way. Seeing that she was surrounded, she had no choice but to kneel down and choose to surrender. So Kwak No Soon was tied up by a few people and escorted back to the base. But Kwak No Soon was not content. She stood to the side and kept screaming. They had no choice but to untie her. After being freed, Kwak No Soon realized that the team was chasing an escaped prisoner. At this time, Yu Sung ran over with clues. Everyone discovered through the surveillance camera photos that Tang Buell and Non Sang seemed to have worked together. Just when everyone was at a loss for how to catch them, Kwak No Soon stepped out and said that she knew one of the two prisoners was Non Sang. They had worked together before. Kwak No Soon was responsible for using her beauty to attract other people's attention. Non Sang was waiting for an opportunity to break into the house to rob money. The most important thing was that not many people knew Non Sang at the moment. Kwak No Soon wanted Gutak to give her a chance to redeem herself with merit. Gutak immediately agreed, but on the condition that she had to wear a tracking bracelet on her leg. If she caught criminal, her sentence would be reduced by 5 years. Hearing this, Kwak No Soon immediately agreed. After finishing his soy milk, Kwak No Soon began to analyze. Non Sang had committed crimes in every corner of the map, but the only one he had never appeared in was Gangwon Do. According to his habit, whenever he went to a place, he would transform himself into a rich, handsome man to charm single women and hide his identity. Finally, after many screenings, they narrowed down and targeted this woman. That evening, Kwak No Soon found the woman. Seeing that the woman seemed to be sneaky, No Soon immediately confirmed her guess. No Soon asked her if she was going to bring food to Non Sang. No Soon then said that Non Sang was the one who had deceived many women. The woman immediately felt uneasy after hearing this, so she went to find Non Sang and told him about police coming to find her. Non Sang was scared and wanted to run away that night. Luckily, the police had been ambushing him for a long time. However, it had to be admitted that he had quite high martial arts skills. He escaped from the two people with just one jump from the porch. Only after running far away did he breathe a sigh of relief. Unexpectedly, at this moment, he was pushed down by Wung Chol with an oil drum. The blindfolded woman was still trying to care for Non Sang, but the next second, Non Sang put a knife to her neck. Only then did she believe everything everyone said. She immediately took out the pepper spray and sprayed it into his eyes. Non Sang couldn't see anything, so he swung the knife around. But Wung Chol didn't indulge him. Wung Chol rushed forward and knocked him unconscious with one blow. Unexpectedly, police car sped up. Wung Chol quickly dodged. Two policemen got out of the car and dragged Non Sang up. It turned out that they came to steal the credit. They forced Non Sang into the car and drove away. Gutak was so angry that he had a heart attack, so everyone could only watch them helplessly and leave. Gutak was seriously ill and could not do his job. It seemed that the weak could only be trampled upon. The three men stormed into the police station. Yu Sung entered the interrogation room and knocked out the police with an iron rod, then interrogated Non Sang. "Do you know where Tang Bill is hiding?" At first, Non Sang refused to cooperate. When No Soon saw this, she immediately kicked him and made him shut up. When Non Sang was beaten, he felt extremely wronged. He really did not know where Tang Bill was. It was just that he was accidentally captured by the station camera in the same frame as Tang Bill. After Yu Sung heard this, he immediately analyzed the photo. As expected, Non Sang did not lie. The two of them just happened to pass by and were photographed together, so they had to change their plans. Starting with the serial killer Kim Jang, then the group went to Kim Jang's wife's house to investigate, but he did not return. His wife said that she regretted reporting him because that crazy guy was now out of prison, so he would definitely find a chance to get revenge on her. The three of them apologized and left, just as the woman predicted. At this time, Kim Jang was searching for his wife's whereabouts. Because he only remembered her house number, he immediately planned to ask the police to look up his wife's address, but the police refused to comply. Immediately after that, he went crazy and pulled out a weapon and beat the police officer to death on the spot. Then he took out a walkie-talkie and pretended to be a police officer to investigate his wife's address. Luckily, this scene was recorded by a security camera. Yu Sung enlarged the photo and discovered that Tang Buell was also there. At the same time, Kwak No Soon investigated and reported that the other guy's wife had run away. Sure enough, when she arrived at the hotel, she saw the manager lying dead on the ground. Kim Jang walked out of the bathroom. The girl was so scared that she fell to the ground. He grabbed the ashtray and threw it at her. When Kwak No Soon arrived, the door was locked, so she could only look through the door's spyglass. Seeing the woman gasping for breath, Wung Chol rushed to the scene with a hammer. A hammer strike hit the door, breaking it in half. Kwak No Soon stepped in and threw the ashtray straight at Kim Jang's head. Woong Chol immediately tried to punch her hard. Then Woong Chol hugged Kim Jang's waist tightly. Just then, Yu Sung arrived and ran into Tang Buell. Seeing Yu Sung trying to capture her, Tang Buell desperately tried to escape but was eventually pushed down by Yu Sung. When Woong Chol caught Tang Buell, he immediately wanted to avenge his close brother, but Tang Buell insisted that she did not kill anyone. Turned out that the real mastermind was the Japanese gang leader, Yoshihara. After unifying the Japanese gangs, his ambitions grew, causing them to turn their attention to the Korean gangs. Now Tang Buell is just their puppet. They use huge financial resources to bribe high-ranking Korean politicians to secretly trade in contraband and conduct human experiments. Now Tang Buell is being hunted by Yoshihara's organization because he holds evidence of their crimes. While they were discussing, suddenly a large police force appeared. It turned out that the police chief had been bribed by Yoshihara to become his henchman. Everyone stood still at gunpoint. Then the police chief immediately took the evidence from Woong Chol. Tang Buell was arrested separately to create a fake scene of accidental death. The police chief even used a fire alarm to set the fire. The remaining 3 were tied to the pole. Finally, the police chief drove away in a stylish police car. Before leaving, he ordered someone to guard the door. At this time, everyone in the house was knocked unconscious by the smoke and fire. Woong Chol knew he had to do something. He used all his strength to break free from the rope. The terrifying pulling force caused Kwak No Soon and Yu Sung to suffer. Finally, Woong Chol used all his strength and the rope broke. The 3 people finally escaped. The problem now was finding an escape route, but the surroundings were tightly blocked. Woong Chol decided to use force, so he broke the door. After a while of struggling, the 3 escaped, but Yu Sung still passed out. Woong Chol had to perform CPR to save Yu Sung, but the danger was not over yet because the police were still lurking outside the gate. Fortunately, Gutak drove up in time and hit the policeman on guard, causing him to faint on the spot. It turned out that while he was in the hospital, he had been assassinated. Realizing something was wrong, he immediately restrained the enemy. From here, the 4-man team was considered complete. After finishing preparations, they decided to sweep the Yoshihara gang's lair. Following the clues, they tracked down the enemy's drug factory. There were more than 1,000 members inside. It seemed that it would be difficult to break in at once, so Woong Chol called his old junior and told him to pretend to be a shipper and break into the factory. Then, he quickly defeated the guards. Immediately after that, he opened the factory gate and brought Woong Chol and everyone inside. Woong Chol's men finished fighting and reunited with everyone in front of the building. A fierce battle was about to begin. On this side, the gang boss Yoshihara was educating the police chief. Then he stood up, put on his weapon, and slowly walked in front of Tang Pil. With a few punches, Tang Pil lost his life. When he learned that the police's plan was exposed, he immediately became angry and ordered his subordinates to beat the police chief and then poured a glass of poison into the police chief's mouth. He intended to blame the prison break on the police chief. At this time, 5 people entered the building. When the henchmen saw the 5 people, they immediately showed signs of fear. Woong Chol unplugged the power source of the door and declared that no one could escape. The leader was still stubborn and wanted to teach them a lesson. But before Woong Chol could take action, his men kicked one of them down. Woong Chol refused to give up, so he immediately jumped up and punched each of them. Meanwhile, the gang boss was watching through the camera and saw that the situation was not good, so he called more of his men to rush out to support. Immediately after that, countless men stopped what they were doing and rushed straight towards them. Even though they were surrounded and beaten by hundreds of men, Woong Chol remained unusually calm. Woong Chol told Yu Sung and Gu Tak to go to the elevator first, while he and No Soon stayed behind to fight. The 2 of them worked together to deal with the thugs. Meanwhile, Yu Sung and Gu Tak were also stopped upstairs. Gu Tak immediately fired continuously and then shot off the elevator cable to the 2nd floor to prevent the gang boss from escaping by elevator. Then Gu Tak took the sledgehammer next to him and hit him continuously. Downstairs, Woong Chol finished the fight and was about to go upstairs when he unexpectedly found many enemies on this floor. In just a moment, he had no way to retreat. Immediately after that, he attacked first. Punches kept falling. He grabbed the wrench from one of them and quickly defeated 2 more. At this time, they started to attack in droves. Even though he was cornered, Woong Chol still fought fiercely. Anyone who survived was thrown away by Woong Chol or received a strong punch. Just a moment later, Woong Chol had cleared the scene. The last underling saw this and was scared and ran away, automatically holding his stomach and fainting. Meanwhile, the gang boss realized that the situation was unstable, so he grabbed the accounting books and ran away. At this moment, Yu Sung and Gu Tak also arrived. The bodyguard immediately let the boss go first while he stayed behind to block the 2. This bodyguard was really formidable. Gu Tak was grabbed by the neck and thrown away by him. Seeing that, Yu Sung also decided to risk his life with him, but his exhausted physical strength made Yu Sung overwhelmed. Fortunately, the bodyguard could not defeat Yu Sung immediately. body. At this time, Wung Chol approached and asked if he needed help. Yusung signaled for him to deal with this guy. Yusung asked Wung Chol to go to the rooftop to capture the fleeing boss. After a few rounds, Yusung was beaten continuously. Fortunately, in the critical moment, Yusung took advantage of the terrain to knock the bodyguard down the stairs and completely finished off his opponent. At this time, Wung Chol quickly reached the rooftop door. He easily broke down the door. Then he leisurely walked towards the boss. The boss's henchmen still rushed in desperately. Wung Chol remained calm when facing countless blades. Each of his punches knocked down one of them. Finally, he combined a takedown to completely finish off the boss's henchmen. Seeing that, the boss had no choice but to put on his iron gloves and attack. At first, the boss took advantage of his equipment, causing Wung Chol to continuously retreat. Unexpectedly, his strong punch was still dodged by Wung Chol. Wung Chol grabbed his arm at the right time and threw him to the ground. But this boss was clearly not weak. Wung Chol was punched twice, so he was in pain and fell to one knee. Instead, at the most crucial punch, he still endured it and twisted his arm back, combining the punch to completely knock out one of the boss's arms. The boss was not convinced, but later his other arm was also disabled by Wung Chol. Finally, the punch with all his strength was considered a complete revenge for Wung Chol's friend. At the end of the film, his underlings came to support. After finishing the battle, he got on his motorbike and left place. Gu Tak found the police chief and punched him. That evil policeman would have to face the punishment of the law. Not long after, a series of police officers rushed to surround the factory. But what they didn't expect was that the gang members inside were lying all over the floor. The four-man investigation team walked out in a resounding victory. Another good news was that Gu Tak had found a suitable donor liver, ensuring his life would be extended. The bad guys also regained their freedom to start a new life. The movie ends here. Thank you for watching. Goodbye, and see you again.